Okay, I'm going to take you through some of the basics of preparing your own ghee. Ghee is the oil that is traditionally used in Indian cooking and also Nepalese cooking, and I know Tibetans use it in their cooking as well. Ghee is made from butter. A lot of people think of ghee as clarified butter, but really it is more than that. It is actually boiled butter, and if it's made properly, it can withstand very, very high temperatures, which makes it a really nice cooking oil. And it is very flavorful and tasty. And it imparts lots of healing energy into your food. So, to start, I'm going to take you through some of the pieces or the things you need to make ghee. First thing we need to make ghee is we need to start with the product. So you start with butter. And you start with regular store-bought butter, but it must be unsalted butter. I can't stress that enough because I like to experiment. I did try making ghee once with salted butter, and it was awful for a number of reasons. So you want to buy unsalted butter. You want a pound of butter. You don't want to cook smaller amounts because you do not want the butter to burn, and the less butter you have in there, the more apt it is to burn. The other thing I would suggest is that the butter that you use, you want it to be good, healthy, properly prepared butter. So I always go with an organic brand. Organic Valley is a really good brand. And it creates very flavorful ghee. Like any cooking that we do, we know that the fundamental ingredients we use to create whatever it is we're cooking really determine the quality of what it is that we'll be preparing. So once we have our butter, that's the only actual ingredient we'll be using. The next thing we need to have is a pot to cook the ghee in. This is an old enameled cast iron pot. I love cooking with enameled cast iron. And so I like this because it has a handle that I can hold on to. And the downside of this pot is that I also use it for making turmeric milk. So you'll see the bottom of the pot is quite orange because turmeric stains everything that it touches. So when we start cooking the ghee, you'll see that you'll have a little bit of difficulty differentiating what's going on, but I think we should be fine. So you need a pot. And then you need something to pour the ghee into after you've completed boiling it. So I always like to use these simple pint canning jars. You want to make sure your canning jar is quite clean. So if you have a dishwasher, run it through the dishwasher. You want it to be dry. So give it time to dry. If you don't have a dishwasher, just wash and dry it and leave it sit for a while. You need a lid for your ghee. I like to label my lids. I don't use plastic for a lot of things, but I do like plastic lids for my ghee and for storing spices, etc. So I have a nice lid. And then eventually we're going to be straining our ghee. And so I like to use this is an old strainer I have where the handle fell off. And then to make straining our ghee easier, this gizmo is really nice. This is just a simple canning funnel. And it fits right nicely onto your jar. And I would recommend, even if you don't do canning, if you're going to do any sort of cooking, these canning funnels are great. I own a couple of them and use them a lot. Because, as you see, you set the funnel in there, and then I can just set the strainer inside the funnel. And so it makes it easier to manage the process of straining the ghee. And then, of course, you will need a spoon to stir the ghee with or to pull out the solids, both of them. And then you'll want some sort of a side dish available because you're going to be taking solids out of the ghee and you need to put them somewhere. And you don't want to throw them out because they can be used for other purposes. So those are the key components that you'll need for making your ghee, and later I'll show you the actual process of creating the ghee.